had a great laning phase. Wayward himself on the Gwen. Another great time. BLG didn't really do much in game number 1. And Dagda, we know that they had a very slow draft. So I'm curious as to how it changes here on the blue side. And if they do want to speed things up in the early to mid game.
Yeah, well, we got Top Esports being a bit wary of the Wukong and Zeri. We got the Ahri taken off the board by BLG, so making sure that that is not going to see the light of day this time around. And I think that's the right choice. Stuff that Knight can start to roam around on is always a little bit threatening. And trying to make things a bit easier for Icon, I think, is going to be a very good call.
Yeah, indeed. Talia banned. Ahri on top. Let's talk more about combinations. Bottom lane is going to be taken out of contrast. Things like the Senna, Zeri as well, we know are very strong in 12.11. Our first day of this patch. Dagda, so far we haven't seen too many adaptations, like Gwen's still there, Wukong still prioritized. I'm trying to think about the biggest thing that we've seen so far today on this patch, like, apart from the Zeri.
I mean, the Ornn kind of came through a little bit, and we're still seeing like the likes of the Kalista, the Dravens, the Lucian still being very, very high priority. I think the interesting one to me has been like Kale just kind of falling off a cliff when we had so many teams looking towards that pick, but looks like BLG got to prioritize Lucian, which means it's going to be the Viego and the Kalista picked up on the opposite side for top esports.
Okay, well, Tian getting the Viego. We know that's a priority pick. And on the other side, will WeiWei go for the Lee Sin? Game 1 from Tian's Lee Sin was pretty legitimate. I wonder if WeiWei goes the same direction, because honestly, we've seen him go for the likes of Volibear in the past, Dagda, but this Lee Sin maybe out of his question for this game?
Potentially the Kazakhs as well, because he has played the Kazakhs into the Viego matchup twice now, has won one, lost one. But definitely something that is in his wheelhouse we'll have to keep an eye on. But I think the Lucian Nami is going to come through. Renata probably going to be the pick for top esports as well in response.
Yeah, so strong 2v2. Last time around, we got the Viego Thresh lane from Doggo and Crisp. Did decently enough, but at least this time we get some proactivity, Dagda. We get lanes that can rise or fall.
Yeah, there's Zinzao also a potential here, but BLG actually going to lock in the Sion. That is not the direction that I saw this one going, because I assumed they were going to try and keep that for the next rotation. But of course, we are going to see, as we were talking about, the Renata locked in here. And I think I'm kind of preferring the way top esports draft is going thus far. You got a good response on the bot side. Now, because you've got the Sion in the top lane, you've always got the opportunity to go for, you know, a response in the Ornn, something like a Sejuani, or even you want to fall back towards like the Kale for Wayward as well. And I always love these Renata Kale combos because they're so strong in just keeping one or two people alive and making it really hard to operate in team fights.
Yeah, I mean, you raise a good point, right? When we see Mark as well on one of his favorite champions. I want to progress though. I want to move into this, because when we have ourselves a Sion, Dagda, like, there's topside counterpick for Wayward. There's solo lanes that can really abuse this fact so far.
There's top lane bans coming in for top esports though. So are they thinking this is Icon going towards the Sion mid, which could also be the case?
Oh, true.
So I'm going to hold on to see exactly where this Sion ends up. So, because maybe we are just thinking too far ahead, or aren't thinking far enough ahead, that this could actually be Icon coming out with some weird picks. Because he did play some really strange picks back in summer. Like, we got to see things like the Renekton come through, the Gragas mid, Set mid, even Malphite mids and everything. Like, this guy has a very deep champion pool.
He does indeed, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of Xiaohu. Remember, we got a lot of Xiaohu Sion mid, so you're right. We'll hold on to that one for the time being. Top Esports banning a mid laner away, though. So I guess kind of covering all bases here. While BLG, thank you so much for banning the Corki, because if it is a Sion top in the end, I'm just glad that we do not have to see that champion on Icon again this game.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. I think Knight probably going to go towards the Swain. I think, actually going to go towards Viktor. I think Swain could work out really well here. Swain did get nerfed, but the nerfs were kind of counteracted by the by the Grievous Wounds nerfs as well. So it kind of leaves them in a relatively even space, but actually going to see the Viktor come through. So a very strong team fighting squad here for top esports. They honestly just need some sort of engage tool to set them up properly.
Yeah, would that be the Twisted Fate? Give a bit of range, give a bit of a global presence here. Icon's LeBlanc open. This was banned in game number 1. So finally, I can have a bit of confidence. This is one of his best champions of all time. With the Lee Sin here for WeiWei. I see how this could work, Dagda. I see how this could work for BLG if we're talking about how the game starts.
Yeah, I mean, I expect a lot of attention now towards Icon in the mid lane. And the LeBlanc can do well into the Viktor, but this is a matchup where if you want LeBlanc to be relevant in the mid game, she needs help. And this is a very strong 2v2 here for WeiWei and Icon. Last pick, though, going to be waiting to see what that will be for top esports. Wayward, I wouldn't be surprised to see the Camille. Yeah, he's going to go first. That's the engage that we're kind of looking for in these fights, but also just has a good opportunity to scale into the game against the Sion. Has true damage for the side lane. Like, this is a pretty good spot now for top esports.
But I want you to talk me through BLG, right? Because we've changed drastically. We have ourselves a Lucian Nami, which we know can be a volatile lane, which we know against Kalista Renata has wound up on the bad end. Especially with the Lee Sin jungle Dagda. How does this operate?
So the biggest problem for Doggo and Crisp is going to be the level 1 to 3. Like, JackeyLove and Mark have an incredibly strong early game and should get really good push at that first level. So from that perspective, I think WeiWei's going to have to try and start down on bot side, or maybe try and make an early path to the bottom lane so he can just be there for the level 1, level 2, make sure there's no funny business. And from that point forward, try and just play through LeBlanc in mid lane and then use that pressure to lean into bot side. You've already got your super tank on the side in the top lane. Just let him scale into the team or into the late game and look for those team fights.
Yeah, seeing Bin on the side, a different look, but you're right. You know, having that massive front line, the only front line of the game as well. We'll have to see what Wayward can do into the Sion because, you know, Camille as well with a great ramp up Dagda. At the very least for Wayward, who we know is a great bruiser, great fighter player. Bin's got his work cut out for him, and it could be a bit of topside priority, like Tian on the Viego as well. Maybe it shift gears here for top esports. What do you think, Dagda? Like, pathing for Tian, which way are you kind of leaning?
I personally think bot side is just going to be so explosive. You're probably going to see Tian lean bot as well. Okay. And also just trying to help out Knight in the mid lane. Like, maybe if you can try and be there for the 2v2, it can work out okay. Like, if WeiWei goes in aggressive, you end up getting the stun for Tian, you get the follow-up from the gravity field, you can actually turn that around, but it has to be from a counter gank perspective. Otherwise, if you end up being the aggressor in that matchup, it becomes very easy for WeiWei to turn that around.
Well, on the Lee Sin, he was going to have to show us what he's got because Tian, a bit of a masterclass on it in game number 1. Welcome back to the Rift. This time around, hoping for a much faster, rather, much more explosive kind of game. BLG with a bit of emphasis here, Dagda. And we're going to see how they operate because Doggo Chris versus JackeyLove and Mark, that's a bottom lane you all want to watch. And you already talked about it, Dagda. Explosions down here. Let's go.
So we're actually not going to see the usual press the attack from Doggo. We're actually going to see him go for first strike. So trying to see if he can get a little bit of an advantage through, you know, quick trading and then get a ton of gold into his back pocket and see if he can use the items. Now, it should accelerate him into the mid game, but certainly means that in the actual trading, JackeyLove and Mark should have a little bit more of an advantage in this lane. So we'll have to keep our eyes on that to see how it works out for Doggo. You do get a little bit of extra damage off of first strike, but nowhere near as much as press the attack gives you.
Yeah, very true. Especially since, like, JackeyLove and Mark just talked about the 2v2. It's been pretty explosive lane. For good or for bad, you know, when I talk about JackeyLove and Mark, sometimes Mark just walks forward randomly. On this Renata, by the way, was the clip we pulled out. And just kind of walks into sudden death. JackeyLove, you know, we saw last game the Ezreal arcane shift into Crisp's hook. That is the impulse and the love of top esports bottom lane. Doggo and Chris maybe on a little bit on the safer side. I think have been more consistent. Dagda, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I think Doggo and Crisp have been exceptional. And I mean, we even talked about this in the podcast. I think Crisp is probably the support that is probably the best in the league on one of the... How do I phrase this? He is the support getting griefed the most by his team. Yeah. I think Crisp is, like, absolutely insane. But unfortunately, BLG just haven't been able to work around. We even saw in the last game how so many of those early plays did revolve around Crisp actually being able to set them up or deny top esports access to setting up their own plays. But we'll have to see if Crisp is going to have a similar performance here. At least the moment, BLG doing all right in the 2v2. And as we talked about, WeiWei moving down towards this bottom lane, making sure as the bot lane hits level 3, he should be in a position to try and help them out.
With Crisp, I think it's a bit of a flashback for me. It's good dodge away from Doggo with the relentless pursuit. A flashback for FPX 2019. You know, their world champion year. Kind of funnily enough, you know, we are seeing Crisp versus Tian Dagda. Something we didn't talk about yet. We got to remember that, you know, Tian on the FPX lineup alongside Chris, that's where the success was, is in the top side. Wayward, great dodge. Bin now without no mana, but the shield comes back up and Scissor Legs has to back off at the time being. Bin doing well to trade back, but quite intense for a bruiser versus, well, sorry, fighter versus tank matchup.
Yeah, but look at the CS, right? Wayward at least should be able to get this one and have a bit of an advantage for himself in the lane. But here we go. We talked about WeiWei being on the bot side right as Doggo hits 3, and that's a really good trade from Doggo.
It is. JackeyLove's going all in as well. WeiWei's here. Now JackeyLove's going to fret being so close to the turret. JackeyLove with a quick flash out, but guess who's caught? Mark by himself. Well, now for the counter gank. Dagda, you talked about this. Is it in time, though? Blocking away from the Sonic Wave. WeiWei will have the AoE, though, onto Mark, getting back with a safeguard. WeiWei deep under the turret. He will stand. Another turret, he will die. Tian makes sure to trade it off, and it's a 1-for-1.
And it's a big wave as well that could be potentially lost here for JackeyLove. That nice play from Tian meant that he did get the kill onto the Kalista and should lose out a good amount on that bot side. So nicely done, at least from the moment, by WeiWei to make sure that they could actually get that play to work.
Things are going a little bit more explosive for BLG, and when we see a kill before the 10-15 minute mark, we're like, hey, BLG on the board nice and early. And for WeiWei, especially on this Lee Sin, getting stuff to happen. I mean, going to the top side now, Dagda. We're going to replay, but I'm sketchy about this.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of talked about it. I think it's good play from WeiWei and also from Doggo here. WeiWei, smart pathing. Doggo getting that big trade-off right as he hits 3 and baits JackeyLove in, but also baits the bailout. So when you end up going in here, you're actually able to follow up. Now, I think could have been a bit of better communication on like the Sonic Wave versus the bubble there from Chris. But overall, it still ends up working out as JackeyLove just about goes down. Actually, I think a bit of a mistake from Mark pushing the Lee Sin into JackeyLove so he couldn't get the hop away, but looks like he was going to go down regardless.
Yeah, the flash burn to build the space at the very least. So we can question on that one, but hey, we come back. Now, JackeyLove didn't miss too many minions, Dagda. Even though the wave is built up and Doggo should be at a CS or 2 advantage, JackeyLove comes back with double longsword after dying. Not the end of the world. And as we come back to live as well, just note, before we went to that replay, I was pretty scared that WeiWei would get up to top side and kill Wayward while we went around, but looks like Wayward survived without burning a summoner and got out pretty safe.
Still, though, looking at this bot side, like Noon Quiver going to be big for Doggo. And as we already kind of talked about, the level 1 to 3 was, well, level 1 and 2 was kind of where top esports could really pressure this lane. This now gets a lot easier for Doggo, which is why we're seeing Tian playing down here.
Good trading from Doggo, though. Tian down here, as you just mentioned, but WeiWei is too. WeiWei is just sticking around the bottom lane. Dagda has such a nice setup for what this game would be about. It's about these 2v2s, which will turn into 3v3s very shortly as Tian is around the wall, biding his time, but WeiWei now stands there. The Sonic Wave's so strong. Tian at half HP, and he gets out of there pretty scathed, but wants to stick around. Surviving on Mark right now, but the Sonic Wave connecting once again onto Sion. Icon moving down. It stops for now with the lettuce being picked up. Looks like it's a little bit cheaper from Coles this time around. Dragon started, Dagda.
Yeah, just top esports trying to bait this one out. I don't know if they really want to do this Dragon, though, because nice.
Yeah, Tian helping out. Knight went in deep, flashes away. Icon matches it here. A much better start, but Icon can't get the finishing kill, and now Tian gets a bit of a reset. Doesn't take it for now. Tian can't click on it. BLG were on top of it, and it looks like he struggled to get that little reset.
Yeah, nice bait from Knight to get the overextension from Icon, but unfortunately, Tian actually can't make his way back out, which means he will end up going in a 1-for-1 trade. That's 2 kills now for WeiWei, and slowly but surely, we're getting an even Steven across the board. We get it here in the replay, as overall, Knight, I don't know if it's a bait. This seems like a bit of a mistake, especially since he doesn't actually flash away from the bubble here as well. Yep. Does mean that he takes a lot more damage than expected, but Icon just barely misjudging his damage there. And Tian, yeah, it looks like, I mean, I think he got a bit greedy. It looks like he tried to like take a minion before he went for that one, which definitely ended up costing him in the end.
I thought they were standing on top of it. I called it big brain, but just didn't right-click Dagda. So that's rough. Maybe expecting the kick out of WeiWei. I'm not sure if he's level 6 at the time, but at the very least, look, it was a trade kill. It's 2 for 2 on the board. Gold, relatively even, but BLG have an edge of 400. At 8 minutes in the game as well, worth mentioning that Dragon hasn't been taken is what happened. We go from no blood in the first game, Dagda, to so much action in the second. That's cleanse.
Yeah, I mean, super early exhaust from JackeyLove there, and Doggo does just cleanse it, so then he's not going to get caught by the Renata. So at least you're kind of getting a lot of back and forth in the spot side, but that's exactly what we expected, right? And why we were talking about how top esports were going to need to play around this is BLG now looking to contest the Rift.
But Wayward started off on the top side. Bin's going to have help with WeiWei, though, as the smash down gets negated. That's the ulti already burnt down. Wayward flashes to a corner. Top esports, what's going on? Tian now kicked against the wall. He gets a smite with a Heartbreaker through the middle to pick up the objective. WeiWei goes down, but Tian won't get a reset. This is messy League of Legends, and I'm all about it for some reason. Fate's Call used as Bin flashes over the wall, and Dagda, this is just chaos.
Absolutely. And the fact that Doggo wasn't there was the reason that top esports were willing to kind of lend into that chaos, because otherwise it would have been a bit of an all-rounder for BLG. But top esports, they get a kill back, they get that Rift Herald as well, but BLG getting more kills on this Lee Sin, another kill, or at least a kill onto Icon as well. We'll see it here, right? Like, Tian, the fact he's still kind of going here is a bit nuts. I thought we'd actually just see them walk up to try and help out Wayward, but Wayward falling down to WeiWei versus Bin, caught out in the 2v2 as top esports ignore him. And then Icon is able to move over here. So now we got a 2v3, but unfortunately for BLG, they're not quite able to kill Tian before he's managed to get the eye. Has to use the Heartbreaker to get onto the Rift Herald as well. But with JackeyLove here and the crew arriving and no Doggo, BLG will just back away.
Twiddling your thumbs in game number one, you come into game two and you're like, we got to make something happen. A complete turnaround and BLG up gold, but the Herald in Tian's pocket now. We come back and Dragon's being done. Secured by BLG here as the first one of the game at 10 minutes in, Dagda, so a late soul here for the second game regardless, as BLG is starting to get a little bit punchy here in the enemy jungle, trying to push it a bit further.
Yeah, Wayward and Bin fighting over Scuttle. Bin will win out on that one. But now we got a lot of members mid.
We are. There's a lockdown here. WeiWei with the kick away with the Sonic Wave, the Tidal Wave for the knock-up. Gravity Field great from Knight as Icon jumps forward, but Tian in a lot of trouble. The Heartbreaker over the wall, but WeiWei wants this bad. Icon still chasing up, and Tian's out for the time being, but BLG have some really good turnaround.
You know, Sonic Wave follow-up from WeiWei. They don't have the damage to pick him off, and Tian will just escape. But again, we're kind of seeing, look, Icon having a bit of a better time in this mid lane. WeiWei is trying to push the advantage that he has in this Lee Sin in the early stages, and Wayward might look to try and interrupt that.
It's going to be deep times. We've got a war that's placed down, no follow-up. Just seeing where WeiWei is. A little bit behind in camps, where Tian has been ahead of the curve. He's got the Rift Herald though, so you're not going to be farming for a little bit while, so things will be even. Heading up towards top side for now, Dagda. There's no camps up in this top lane as well. So it looks like could be positioning to drop that Herald on Bin's lane and push Wayward out even further.
Yeah, I feel like that's the best call. Like, making sure that you can actually get Wayward into a position where he's comfortable. The issue is as well, you've seen WeiWei, he's moving bot side.
Can they kill him? I wonder if they can kill him. Well, with Tian, actually, yes, that's such an easy yes. He has Thunderer flash in front of the ulti. Tian with a big brain, and Bin not going to get out of this one alive. Against the turret now, openings occur with top esports having a Herald to bash down Wayward's top lane.
And this is where you might see BLG make a play on the opposite side. Icon could roam bot, but he's sticking around in the mid lane, and we'll have to see if that's going to cost here for BLG.
Culling used though. Now JackeyLove and Mark in a bit of trouble as WeiWei wants to kick him back against the wall. Mark gets Fate's called as JackeyLove gets kicked under the turret. They turn for Crisp. Tidal Wave buys time as JackeyLove goes to the death. That's a flash forward. He kites away from Doggo as well. WeiWei finally gets Mark, but Knight is here. Top esports, you want to fight them? They're willing to go all the way as BLG. That is not an equal trade.
Icon is here though.
A good flash in on top of JackeyLove. He finds it, but the remaining turret hit puts him down to a dangerous place. Top esports get the turret on the top side in the meanwhile, and Icon gets out alive. A good response, but BLG still down in gold, and you gotta give props to top esports bottom lane for that one.
Yeah, playing that very well, being able to move around each and every move that was being made by BLG. But I gotta say, Icon could have run bot side. Like, he had the full push in mid. You already got the setup. Like, we see it here in the replay. Push was already there in mid as this play is starting. Icon could have run down here. Easily picked off Mark before all this started. The extra damage could have been enough, but I think BLG, good start to this. Doggo tanking tower right as it all comes through. The big problem was, though, they end up separated. Like, Top Esports perfectly realized that, hey, look, we can actually jump onto the Nami, who is super vulnerable here, and then there's just not enough left here to actually finish off JackeyLove. So you end up with support for support, and it will be equaled out by Icon. But as you said already, Hysterics, like, top lane turret going down, and the kill onto the Camille on the top side as well. It's not an equal trade for BLG.
At least Icon, you know, positioning as the LeBlanc in a very dangerous way this game. Already, I've seen more roams come out, Dagda, than we saw in his Corky game. Needs to be said. A better position for BLG. Gold is even, but at 14 minutes, turret plating needs to be acquired. And I say that because 10 seconds till it expires. With Icon down on the bottom lane, Tian wants to make this dive happen, but it is a LeBlanc. It's going to be tricky. Top Esports trying to bite this off to give space to JackeyLove, but Icon stands strong.
WeiWei now spots Tian. We'll hop onto him.
Heartbreak is going to get him out, though, so WeiWei won't follow up much more. Dagda, Dragon coming up in 50 seconds, though. And I think that needs to be looked at because for Top Esports, we are getting to our first Mythic, but I could say the exact same about BLG.
Yeah, we're trying to see if the Luden's Tempest can come through for Icon off this reset, because he's really going to want that before the objective. BLG can have a reasonably good time fighting for this, as you say, like with all the Mythics that they do have completed. Gale Force and also that Dirk for Doggo is super good for BLG, but it's just a case of how well they can enable Doggo in these fights if Bin has to deal with Wayward in the side lane.
I guess we're going to look at top side first. So Tian going to get culling at melee range. So Doggo and Chris take him out, but the flash here from Wayward with the Hextech ultimatum, and Doggo is sent packing with Knight now joining the play. Mark with the flash forward. That finds nothing. Ultimate burnt down, and Top Esports making it a quick trade with more aggressive plays.
Yeah, JackeyLove now on reset as well, so trying to see if he can get back, but Icon might find him. Oh,
not in the nick of time, but Dagda, hey, Top Esports lost their jungler. For support, for AD, sorry. So well worth it for BLG as they head up a second dragon.
Yeah, they should be able to get this down. It's not exactly the fastest dragon, but not going to be the end of the world. I think it will just mean that you're trading this dragon for the Rift Herald on the top side. Doggo will make it back out, but there's just so much more movement from Top Esports and being able to push mid, push top, and then rotate back for Rift Herald.
So, second dragon, this time around, Dagda, what's the difference? Because in the first game, it was, oh, well, BLG have scaling, they've got scaling in every lane, and, you know, Top Esports want to pick up Soul. But in this game, I see a much more even state. I see BLG are the ones who picked up the early dragons. They've got a fed jungle mid 2v2. And you talked a lot about the front line, so I want to know how this progresses for BLG in the current state.
I mean, at the moment, I think BLG need to try and, like, put their pedal to the metal here, because you are going to get eventually outscaled. Like, Icon won't have the impact you're hoping for in team fights because he is up against Mark, who can kind of save someone that he goes up against or even throw out the ultimate. Wayward as well has great lockdown for this LeBlanc, which makes it very hard to operate for Icon. Also, Knight scales beautifully. Tian is great scaling. Wayward's true damage as well is going to be great. You have a lot of threats on Top Esports side. Whereas for BLG, I mean, you're kind of, again, looking at Doggo as your only source of consistent damage. So from that perspective, BLG need to start getting these picks happening in the early stages where you get push mid, you know, rotate WeiWei in towards the jungle. Try and see if you can look for plays on side lanes as you have Icon pushing in there.
But it's actually Top Esports making the play. Wayward with that TP. The ult burned. Tian can't stop him. Bin's on a mission. That's an onslaught if I've ever seen one. Will he TP out? He will try. And Tian, I mean, he's going to try and press W here to stop him, but it's not in the nick of time. Bin gets out, and a well-played escape from the top laner of BLG.
And because he's drawn so much attention, Doggo gets to push mid.
And with the culling coming out as well, turret goes down. Gold is even, and that is what you call worth, especially pulling out the TP of Wayward, especially since Icon's going to get this side turret as well. It's nice to see BLG doing so much more, Dagda, in the first 20 minutes of this game.
And this is exactly what we were just talking about. Having BLG open up the map, start to get some vision down in the jungle, so they can actually look to play around this side lane. Because Wayward is going to control basically any lane that he shows up in. But having been able to respond to that, Icon then to be able to push the side lane, because he'll do better against Knight, means that you can like push in, then start to dip in towards the fog of war in the jungle and see if you can find picks on towards Top Esports, maybe outnumber them underneath towers. Like, that's the way you need to play this as BLG.
Easy dive ability on that note as well, right? Bin is not going to die anytime soon, so looking forward to seeing BLG make those numbers advantage. For now, game slowed down a little bit longer. 13 kills in an 18-minute game, though, is still better than what we experienced the first time around. But we're heading towards a third dragon for BLG. That'll be Soul Point. And this time around, it's an Ocean Soul as well, Dagda. So when we talk about Sion, when we look at what BLG can do, at the very least, might change the game state with top esports who, you know, we talked a lot about scaling and what happens as this game goes on.
And that's top esports, trying to see if they can now wrangle control over the bottom side. You got pushing buff from Knight, and Tian is also there just to see if they can maybe look for something here, but should just be looking at tower.
Bin's just going to try and clear the wave. They're not going to be able to find the push here on the outer turret just yet, but stay standing. But Icon, look in the top side, he's able to do something similar by himself. The difference is, though, that turret will fall. So Icon sidelining quite nicely this game, Dagda, and now BLG are going to move slowly out in front, ahead for second game. Top esports finally trading it off, and we're just going to sit here, aren't we? Herald's available.
But the efficiency, Hysterics. The efficiency. That's
nice.
the thing. You know, you've got 2 members committed to the bot lane trade for top esports, but you only had 1 on top for BLG. Isn't that exciting?
Whoa,
WeiWei got topside jungle. Think of the efficiency.
What else, Dagda? What else is exciting?
Dragon in 50 seconds. Third dragon potential for BLG, where with the control actually being taken away from BLG on the spot side, all that vision control died out. And there's actually a lot of vision here for top esports in behind that dragon pit. So BLG going to try and push mid, see if then they can lean in towards the river and get control. But top esports honestly have a pretty good spot here where if Wayward can TP onto some of these wards, maybe look for a flank, they could pick off Doggo super quick.
Yeah, because if Chris is not by his side, he'll die. JackeyLove, meanwhile, Cullen comes through as we're talking about BLG. They're the ones setting up the pick. Wayward with a flank. Look at that. That's deep. Herald gets a charge through mid, but Wayward's going to walk over wards. It's very obvious that he'll be there momentarily as he's now around the corner, but Wayward doesn't care. Still all-inning. Bin front lining as Wayward gets knocked up. A decimating smash will keep him in the air. A third time as Wayward experiences the bouncy castle, but the hostile takeover just runs out of range. Wayward with the hook shot, wolf shot as no one's died just yet, but Tian is close to the chain as he flashes away. JackeyLove flashes by himself. JackeyLove, you're a bit of a madman and a bit of a wild animal. He survives. He's kicked over the wall in top esports. That is one way to contest the dragon.
I mean, WeiWei just kicks JackeyLove straight back out the way he came, but it does mean top esports get the dragon, and that's what they were interested in. So BLG now limping back into mid lane, knowing that top esports are exited out on the bottom side of the map.
I just, you know, Dagda, setup's one thing, but JackeyLove flashing over the wall by himself is another. I just can't believe he got kicked back over. BLG didn't whop him, and so the game goes on. When we have a mid-game team like top esports who you said in draft struggled a little bit in spring, make magic happen. We're at that slow point again, but this was the slow. Dagda, walk me through.
Yeah, so TP in onto the backside here for Wayward, and it gets a really good amount of chunk damage up onto WeiWei just with disengage, gets to walk away. So I think that's where the problems start to land here for BLG, where they just don't really have people in position now to follow up on these engages. So you get a good knock up onto Wayward. Doggo has to use his Gale Force and everything else to get into position, but now he's running for the hills as the hostile takeover comes in, and BLG are just so spread out, so separated, whereas top esports are kind of able to keep this continuous machine rolling. And as you said, JackeyLove tries to flash in to get the rend onto Icon, doesn't quite get it, and honestly, close call from WeiWei, who, if he got that kick maybe onto a little bit more to the right, could have actually picked up a kill for himself.
I mean, kind of crazy, like, he's saving his mid laner. So I look back on that and I apologize, you know, JackeyLove flashing over with Mark, maybe a bit of a baller move. We always get those vibes here, and, you know, for top esports, not a one fight, neither for BLG. Remembering that, okay, maybe top esports got the dragon Dagda, so maybe it was a one fight. There was no one who died. No one died whatsoever from the last play, and now we're just sitting here waiting, playing the vision game. Up towards Baron for BLG, but top esports kind of gearing up for the next dragon and making sure the Baron's not getting done under their eyes. Bye-bye.
There goes Sion. Shabin just screaming cowards as he runs for the hills. BLG now trying to establish the vision control on this top side. And Doggo, good culling damage.
Yeah, it really hurts. Mark is so low, but Tian is angling for this. Wayward once again flies in from the flank. Bin has teleported, though. Excuse me, that was Knight who's teleported in. Absolutely wrong there. So all 5 members now rejoice back in the mid lane, but Knight's burnt his TP. Wayward doesn't have his for the next 20-30 seconds. Just worth noting that top esports are burning these summoners left and right each fight.
And it should lean into this next dragon, right? Where you don't have the flash available, and you don't have the TP. Sorry, you don't have the TP available. You should have flash back up for JackeyLove and stuff, but I think that's where we're gonna have to see exactly how this is all gonna pan out. BLG though haven't really been able to get the position that they wanted, and that's why you're seeing like Wayward now starting to get control over the side lane against Bin. Icon isn't able to do a similar story to Wayward against Knight. So that's why BLG kind of hoping that Doggo can continue to get this poke with the, with the culling in mid. So maybe they can start to lean in towards the jungle, try and get some vision control down. But it's just a very slow process, which is giving time for Knight to get items for Wayward as well to now pick up his death stance. We'll probably look towards a Ravenous Hydra soon as well. Like, he's starting to get really big.
Even for Tian to become a bit more of a bruiser. You know, much like WeiWei here. Tian is what you would call somewhat of a front line. Wayward alongside him. And that's why triple stopwatch picked up. Look at that. Knight, Tian, Wayward, all with one in their back pocket. That invulnerability going to be a bit of a pain for BLG to deal with, especially when we've seen top esports trying to come from all different angles. So, Dagda, that's what I'm looking out for as a minute 10 till Dragon. For now, we sit here. And folks, we just chill out. It's been a fast-paced early game, but things have all slowed down. As Dagda said, Knight's just happy getting his items. And so we can sit here and vibe for a little bit. Because much like that famous Twitch cat, you know, we are hoping that this next fight is a bit of a banger.
Yeah, hoping for the cat jam. But
yeah,
top esports aren't reading the position. Like, they've got some vision in River, but with 40 seconds now until the Dragon, we got to keep our eyes on Knight, see if he can get the damage off. How does JackeyLove end up interacting? But also just Wayward. Watch these flanks. If he can get on towards Doggo, it's a done deal for BLG.
Well, Wayward's already begun the play. Knight is knocked up and caught out a little bit here as Bin finds him over the wall. But look at this, the only tank in a game, and Bin is exerting that pressure. BLG full control, Dagda. It's blind here. Top esports have to find another way.
Going to try and sneak in on the bottom side, but again, Bin is just playing keep away here. Hasn't got the decimating smash down yet, but the poke's starting to come through from Icon. Wayward trying to see if he can play around vision on the top end and get onto Doggo again.
These cullings have been really good. Once again, poking out another member. This time it's a mid laner. As Dragon started, this will be the third BLG, but in the backline, Wayward kicks it off. The ultimate comes through as well from Mark. It's beautiful, buying even more time as Doggo's out of the fight. Bin front lining, but there's no damage left in. Icon's now dead. Reset City for Tian as Wayward follows through. Another one bites the dust as Tian turns into his champion from game number 1. Dagda, top esports just find a way.
Wayward got the perfect engage onto Doggo. That's 2 Ocean Dragons now for top esports, and I'm seeing pings towards the top side, Hysterics.
Oh, they want to do it. Well, Crisp and Doggo want to pick out on the other side, though. They want 9. He pokes his head over the wall. The handshake not connecting. Doggo trying to do a bit of an Uzi here, ironically. His double TP channeled through the mid lane. Top esports now working out whether they should start it as Wayward's joined back in.
Yeah, Ben's still here trying to provide that front line, but everything used by Doggo in that last fight, looks like everyone will just decide to back away. But again, great fight from top esports, and you're seeing the problems that you have with BLG is that so much of this can bypass your front line. Like, Doggo, really good poke on tonight who has to walk away, but it does mean that here, Wayward gets a fantastic engage, gets the hookshot, wall shot, and the flash to land onto Doggo, and then instantly you get the follow-up with the hostile takeover coming through from the Renata. Means that you can't actually try and help Doggo here. Wayward goes golden as well to just make sure they can get the engage, and even though Doggo doesn't fall, his damage is now out of the fight. Great exhaust from JackeyLove to keep Knight alive on the backside as well. Like, everything from top esports was perfect in that fight.
Great play from the duo for sure, at the bottom lane of top esports. So, gold in their favor. Dragon goes down to them as well. Now, Dagda, the real question is, do we lull about for the next 3.5 minutes, or do things get a little bit more serious with BLG starting to work out that these flanks from Wayward are pretty tragic if they get caught. Looks like they're trying to take the aggressive path and stop top esports from getting more vision around the purple worm, but they haven't done their due diligence. There's a control wall that's been sitting in the back of the Baron pit for like 8 minutes.
And that's why you're seeing top esports not really worry about it. Wayward just starting to push in on sides. Well, he wants to try and work up towards the GA, so definitely going a build that's much more focused on team fighting rather than side lane, and I think it's a good shout. Like, in general, Wayward's just going to be able to win it against Sion, doesn't need his items to really help in that endeavor. So instead, making sure that he can have those moments where he can fly in onto Doggo, still stay alive with the GA. He's harder to kill because of the death stance. And I think it's just a really good call all around. And now, top esports starting to get themselves situated on mid lane. They really want to get this mid lane turret down because it'll help massively with their side lane push and also just getting vision.
Baron especially. Icon running in for the chase. Still doing a lot of damage. Rabbit on second here from the mid laner, who had a rough game number 1. Now this time around on the LeBlanc has been more influential. And we're also saying that about WeiWei. What did we miss? Oh, the ward missed the back because back timers came through Dagda, but top esports were not aware, you know. People Pepe laughing, but they really weren't aware that BLG all reset.
I like that we're getting the classic BLG game though, where it's like, oh,
yeah,
you know,
true.
top esports, great early game, going nuts, going kills, and then it's just like, no. But now we get the BLG side of the game. We slow down. We don't do anything. We kind of just stare at each other menacingly across the room. Yeah, we're not actually going to take the fight.
No, because isn't our logo though, Dagda, is crazy is our game. So I don't know what you're talking about. Not my LPLers. Hang on, Wayward. What?
Oh my God!
He teleported back to Icon. That Hex deck ultimatum. I mean, what's past the Hexagon? That went next level.
I mean, he's hit like Mach 10 on that one. The speed that Wayward just got flying was absolutely insane. But with that engage now down, BLG going to see if they can do the Baron.
That's like watching Stranger Things, man. Held into the air and suddenly Wayward, no more. He will survive it, of course, but coming through with a re-engage. Icon knocked up and Wayward finds him. Culling used, but this time around, Mark's ulti hits some crucial targets. And top esports have already found themselves this fight. It's just been left over. Icon caught out, and Wayward this time around doesn't need to be taken to Narnia to finish this one off.
And now top esports will get the Baron. 40 seconds until Dragon as well means that they should be able to get the Baron done and still get out in time to contest for this objective. Nicely done by top esports to take the fight, and we'll just see it here.
Oh, here we go.
I mean, look, Wayward just becomes a plane zooming in onto the back line. And this is why BLG are like, okay, maybe we can take this because you don't have to threat him to Doggo. This is our chance to try and bait top esports into a fight. But Icon, in trying to lean off to the side here, actually ends up getting caught out as JackeyLove sends in his damage on towards the LeBlanc. And you're just separated here completely as BLG. You know, wave for wave. Doggo is off on his own. It all just ends up very messy on BLG's side.
You know, it is just like Narnia, isn't it, Dagda? You know, it's the White Witch versus Aslan. Wayward is the tiger for some reason in this analogy. And the power seems great, but then he comes back a second time and literally bites her face off. So, family fun, friendly for all of all the members. That's not English. Family friendly fun. We got there as there's a third dragon taken in the replay. Wayward teleports back on in, and with Baron, side lane's now going to become very messy for BLG to deal with. Would you not agree?
Yeah, Icon going to try and push in top side, so you're not getting all 3 lanes pushed, but I don't think they really care on top esports side. They just really want the 2 of them settled. And they're not even trying to overcommit in this mid lane because they know Camille's on bot side.
Tian frontlining here. Bin going into him. Culling used once again the Heartbreaker out. Tian playing with fire a bit. Bin's still hard to get through, and Wayward now has to back off. So good defensive play from BLG to keep the game going, especially since that Baron could have done a lot more work.
So Tian tries to hard commit, as I just say. They're not trying to overcommit just for that reason. And honestly, I mean, that's actually a big whoopsie there, right? Because you don't actually get the push in mid or the Terra on the bot side. You have to back off. Now you're resetting. You're wasting like 45 seconds of this Baron buff, and you've only got a minute left. So a bit of a mistake there from top esports, which means they won't get a huge amount out of the Baron buff, just that dragon and a bit of extra gold in their pockets.
And we wait again. All right. 2K Baron power play. Waiting again, Dagda. 4 items. JackeyLove, 3 and a bit here on Knight. Wayward has a GA. Tian has a GA. And, you know, as tanky as Bin gets, you're like, well, going up against the Sunder Camille, still a bit of a pain in the behind. So, I guess, Dagda, we've got 3 minutes to kill time. While Top Esports just take more of the map. You know, this series has been a bit of a long one, I must admit. And I don't know what you want to say, but at least this time around, Icon having more of an impact, and BLG, I will say, had a better early game.
I'm trying to figure out what the longest sentence I can have that incorporates the most Nickelback titles in it is.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like if today was your last day,
yep.
This afternoon is a bit of a lullaby, but we're waiting on our next contestants because Top Esports feel like they have you figured out.
Very nice. I can't beat that. I just can't beat that, dude. At least, look, Top Esports will get me out of it because they are making moves. Baron's expired, but this team is still playing so aggressively. Wayward looking for the dive here, and with GA, why the heck not? Wave pushed out, but Icon's back on here, so the wave clear will continue. And we continue to play for this inner turret as Tidal Wave is used. One-man knock-up on Mark, who's super deep, but the Fate's Call gets him out. And now Mark wants to join back in. Wayward kicked away. It's a 2-man. Knock-up from Bin for the follow-up. Bin ulties in at melee range. Does so much work. Top Esports without their support as Tian walks past Bin again. And there you go. More defensive play from BLG.
Yeah, Mark didn't get to ult, so the BLG don't get caught out in that tight corridor. And now BLG, actually the ones that are in control, will be able to get these waves pushed out. Top, you can already see, is in their favor. Now they're looking for Wayward.
The flash over the wall. He's out in the nick of time. Wayward caught out. The blast code taken, but never fear. The Hextech wall shot, the hookshot wall shot, is here. So BLG, they're going to get a response turret. And we go on and we just wait because Baron's up at the same time as Dragon, Dagda.
Yeah, I feel like Top Esports, though, end up holding the cards in that situation because we'll be able to play off through mid lane, like lean over towards Baron if you want, even lean towards Dragon, like still put threats on towards the Baron if BLG to try to take it, but you can always just send Wayward or someone to deal with the Baron themselves. Even Knight can deal with that solo, so you don't actually have to overcommit towards the Ocean Soul, which is going to be super nice, especially when a huge amount of the way we're seeing these fights set off for BLG is like Icon trying to get poke, Doggo trying to use the culling to get poke. If you've got the Ocean Soul, it just becomes so much more difficult to go for that style. Yeah,
well said. Like, the way that this fight has been starting every time is like Doggo's poke especially. The culling pierces someone from Top Esports, and then BLG try to make a play off the back of it. So with Ocean Soul, Top Esports would be able to survive that, would be able to live through, and you already said for BLG, damage options are limited here. Icon, Doggo, the people I look at. They have a front line, but how can they use it as Top Esports going to burn the TP? It's Wayward joining in. Excuse me, actually Knight who burns the teleport. Wayward still having his own. He's looking for a flank angle, Dagda.
Yeah, we've seen this before, no flash.
We have Bin running head first in. Tidal Wave as well. Tian going into GA. Mark's also hit up as well as the hostile takeover. Does a lot in the backside, but now that Wayward joins in on top of Icon at half HP, it doesn't matter. JackeyLove running forward with the bailout, relying on Mark once again. And Bin has no one beside him. It was such a good engage from BLG. But then all of a sudden we woke up and Top Esports knocked him down.
And it took a little bit longer, but Top Esports will get the kills. They will push in the mid lane. And with 30-second death timers on BLG's side, with TP from Wayward, Top Esports are looking to end this in 2-0.
And even though it was a slower game, guys, we saw a lot of early blood. We saw a lot of back and forth. JackeyLove and Mark, some big props here as JackeyLove gets a triple kill. So what looks to be finishing off the game. Remember the Chris was up in 7 seconds, 15 here for Icon and Doggo, but onto the next turrets. Their damage quite big with Wayward by their side, especially with Knight's conversion. No next turrets will stay standing, and Top Esports, it was a battle in the second game, but they remain strong over BLG, moving to 3-1 and a 2-0 to stand tall.
Nicely done by Top Esports to pick up the 2-0. I mean, it was a slow burner. BLG had control in the early stages, but as we said, as Top Esports start to get later and later, as Wayward can find those good engages, that's what was going to make the difference.
it was a sad series for BLG Dagda. Game 1 and then game number 2 when we actually saw the options that could come out of this team, but feels like they acted a little bit too late. Feels like for top esports being given the flank angles for Wayward, who had such a good Camille game, seemed too easy by the end. I want to give special props to Mark and JackeyLove, who had just such a fun game to watch. JackeyLove is a bit of an animal, and I mean that in the most humble, respecting way, because he bites at everything.
I mean, he really does. And as you say, I think they had some really good setups here. Especially Mark, some of these clutch Renata ultimates were really, really strong. Unfortunately, he caught out once or twice, hoping that he'd be able to get a bit more time for himself. But either way, I think the MVP for me was Wayward. Like, consistently having really smart decisions on who he was going to engage on, when he was going to engage. And after he just picked up that MVP from game number 1, I have a feeling we'll be seeing his face on the screen for number 2 as well.
Yeah, it would be fair, right? You know, like Wayward had a good series, and it's someone who we highlighted last spring. Remember that he was rookie MVP, wasn't he, Dagda? He was rookie MVP this spring, yeah. Making sure I'm not mistaken. Wayward has fit into the top esports role so well. It's like he was born for this team. He is literally a new 369. He's crazy. He has that same mentality that top esports must be scouting for day in, day out.
Yeah, and I think there's like certain teams, I'm not even talking about in the LPL, I mean in general, League of Legends, that like you can tell that there's a lot of camaraderie and fun that's happening behind the scenes, and top esports definitely give you that vibe as well, especially when you're seeing like Wayward flashing the emotes. I mean, nice. I remember there's like a clip from him in summer 2021, I think it was, where he's like, watch me, and then he just goes and makes this unbelievable Oriana play. You're just like, did you see it? Did you see it? Like, it definitely feels like there's a lot of fun and banter going on behind the scenes with these guys.
Yeah, there is. I mean, a team that comes together like this, you'd have to think so. Was it this team? No, it was Wayward Gaming. I was just thinking, what comms did we see recently where they were very vibey? Yeah. You know, are you happy, Huanfeng? Yes. Yes, I am happy. But look, I'm sure similar environment here. Props tonight. A lot of damage here on the Viktor, but I have to say, Dagda, when we hyped up Icon's return up against this mid laner, we didn't get to talk much, especially this game. Icon had a decent laning phase, as you'd expect, but like this series was Knight in game 1 on the Ahri, and then it was more about bottom lane than we could have ever imagined for game number 2.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of talked about it. Like, the problem for Icon, if I wanted to discuss him, what was there actually to say? You know, he didn't get the resources that we were hoping for. He didn't actually look for the roams that we thought he would. Like, we highlighted, there was a moment on that bot lane dive for BLG that Icon should realistically have been in position to make that dive happen. So I think from BLG's perspective, we are seeing, unfortunately, Icon from the start of summer 2021, where LNG